Okay, let's unpack a really massive bureaucratic paradox. It's something that is keeping some very smart people up at night within the Department of War.
Right.
We talk a lot about innovation, but imagine you have two buckets. In one, you've got widgets. These are incredible, promising prototypes, new drones, advanced sensors, you name it.
Stuff that looks futuristic in a lab.
Exactly. And in the other bucket, you have wants. These are urgent operational gaps. Soldiers in the field saying, we need a way to stop this specific threat, and we need it now.
It sounds like basic supply and demand. You have the supply of tech, and you have the demand from the field.
You'd think so.
Logic would say they should just meet in the middle.
Logic would, yeah. But they don't. Or I should say, they don't meet fast enough to matter. They get stuck in this vast, foggy chasm we call the Valley of Death.
And that's a term people might have heard, but usually it's about money, right? Startups going bankrupt, waiting for a contract.
Right. But the report we're doing our deep dive on today, it argues the valley isn't just about cash flow. It's about a fundamental lack of truth.
That's a heavy way to put it, but you're absolutely right. We are analyzing an operational report called the Digitize and Discover Event Program. And its core argument is, well, it's provocative.
It really is.
The reason innovation dies is that the military is currently operating on a document-centric model of reality.
While the rest of the world,
Yeah.
modern engineering world, has moved on.
Exactly, to an engineering-centric one.
So instead of building things, we're writing reports about building things.
You've got it. And this report lays out a mission to fix this. It involves the Office of Foreign Comparative Testing, a group called Crux Defense, and this new entity with a real mouthful of a name.
The Mission Engineering and Integration Activity.
Or MEIA.
MEI. We're going to be hearing that acronym a lot. But before we get into the how, we have to talk about the why now, because bureaucracies, they only really change when they're forced to.
And in this case, the Department of War has introduced a massive financial kill switch to force the issue.
This is the part that really got me.
This is the hook. It's called the Joint Acceleration Reserve, or JAR.
JAR. Okay.
The department is holding back 2% of the entire defense budget.
Let's just put that in perspective. 2% of the defense budget is billions and billions of dollars.
It is a massive pool of liquid capital. And the ultimatum to program managers is, it's brutal. You cannot touch that money unless you can empirically validate your technology through this new MEIA framework.
So the message is prove relevance or lose funding.
That's it. It completely changes the psychology. It's no longer, oh, it would be nice to have better data.
It's get the data or your program starts.
Yeah, but here's the problem the report highlights right away, and I love the term they use for it, the empty shell problem.
The empty shell.
Most program offices, they think they have data. They have digital models, CAD files, simulations. So why isn't that enough to unlock the JR money?
Because those models are, what, fake?
They're uncalibrated. The report calls them marketing cartoons.
Marketing cartoons. Wow. That is a scathing indictment of military simulation.
But it's fair if you think about it. A contractor gives you a digital model of a drone. It looks great on a screen. The animation is perfect.
But it lacks physics-based reality.
Exactly. It doesn't know what happens when the humidity hits 98% or when the wind shear is 40 knots coming off a ridge. And most importantly, when someone is actively jamming its GPS signal.
It's a pretty picture, not a performance model.
So the empty shell is a simulation that hasn't been punch tested by reality.
And to fix that, they need what the report calls ground truth. They need real-world performance data to turn that cartoon into a digital twin.
Yes. Let's define that clearly, because digital twin gets thrown around a lot.
It's a total buzzword.
It is. But in this ecosystem, the digital twin replaces the requirement document. Instead of a 500-page PDF saying, the drone shall fly 100 miles, you have a digital replica that proves it can fly 100 miles in a simulation backed by physics.
But to build that twin, you need the raw data. You need the ground truth.
You need the fuel.
Okay, so I'm a program manager. I need the money from the JR. To get the money, I need a digital twin. To get the digital twin, I need the data. So I take my prototype out to a test range in Nevada or Utah, and I fly it till it breaks. Simple, right?
You would think so. But that brings us to the next big problem. The kinetic blockage.
The kinetic blockage.
The report highlights this as a critical failure point. You actually can't just go test it in the U.S.
We have massive deserts.
We do, but we also have massive restrictions. Domestic ranges are strangled by regulation. Spectrum management is a huge one.
Meaning You can't just turn on a high-powered jammer.
Not without potentially shutting down a local airport or messing with civilian cell towers. Then you have environmental protections, safety fans, airspace deconfliction. You just cannot replicate a bad day in combat on a Tuesday afternoon in Utah.
So we have a paradox. You need bad day data to get the funding.
But you aren't allowed to create a bad day to get the data.
That is the deadlock.
And the Digitize and Discover program, D&D, is the breakout maneuver. It's a strategic pivot. Stop trying to test everything in the U.S. Instead, use the Office of Foreign Comparative Testing, or FCT, as the authority of first resort.
Because they have a loophole.
Not a loophole, a statute, 10 U.S.C. Section 2350 AG.
I love when we get into the specific code. It sounds so bureaucratic, but that one line of code is the key to this whole thing.
It's a powerful tool. It authorizes the U.S. to test foreign technology, and because of that, it opens the door to what the report calls the foreign crucible.
So we go to allied ranges, Australia, the UK, Israel.
Places where regulations allow for what they call demonstration and defeat testing.
Demonstration and defeat. That implies we aren't just testing if it flies, we're trying to shoot it down.
Correct. And this is where the methodology gets really interesting. They use a test matrix. It's a triad.
Okay.
You have your prototype, then you have complementary tech allied gear that works with it, then competitive tech, the best foreign alternative, you're racing against it, and finally, counter tech.
The threat.
The thing designed to destroy you. So you're not just flying in a clear blue sky, you're flying while an active jammer is trying to sever your data link, and you're racing a competitor at the same time.
That sounds like it generates the ground truth you need.
That's the idea, and the report outlines a specific workflow to capture it. They call it the CCF Model Combat Capabilities Factory.
Walk us through that.
It's 3 phases. First, the aligner. That's the planning phase, defining exactly what you're testing so you don't waste time or money.
Makes sense.
Second, the exciter. That's the kinetic event abroad, the explosions, the jamming, the chaos we just described.
And the third part is the digital igniter. This feels like the bridge back to the bureaucracy.
This is the most important part for the listener to grasp. The goal isn't just to have one good test. The goal is data. You take that one expensive physical test, the exciter, and you feed all that data into a system like the Joint Simulation Environment, JSE.
So you use that one real data point to calibrate your digital model.
Yes. So now, when you run 1,000 virtual simulations later, they aren't cartoons anymore. They are accurate predictions because they are anchored in that one real-world beatdown.
You validate the digital twin once, physically, and then you can fight with it digitally 1,000,000 times over.
It maximizes the return on investment for that one trip.
But there's a catch. Before they could trust this process, the report says they had to test the test.
Right. You can't capture ground truth if your measuring stick is broken.
So they launched Project Pathfinder, basically building the infrastructure to make sure they could capture this data accurately. And they use a trinity of commercial tech to do it.
This is what they call the digital physical bridge. They brought in 3 commercial companies for 3 specific roles. First, a company called Airways.
They do the AI operating system, right?
Think of Airways as a superhuman air traffic controller. When you have all these drones-friendly, enemy-competitive flying in the same box, it's just chaos. Airways manages the airspace, but it also acts as the data historian.
The black box.
The black box, exactly. It records every decision made by every drone, every operator. Plus, it has a supervisory safety agent to prevent mid-air collisions faster than any human could react.
So that handles safety and the timeline. What's the second pillar?
The second is ETV. ETV is the digital architect. Their job is the environment itself. They use LiDAR and infrared sensors to map the physical space.
Oh, so if there's a wind shear coming off a ridge, ETV captures it.
Yes. This is critical for the empty shell problem. If your digital model assumes the air is still, but the real test had a 20-mile-per-hour crosswind, your data is garbage. ETV makes sure the virtual wind in the model matches the real wind in the desert.
Garbage in, garbage out.
ETV stops the garbage.
Yeah.
ETV stops the garbage. And then the third pillar is Aerosis. They are the data trustee.
Which addresses the big business fear. Companies are terrified the government is going to leak their source code or, just steal their IP.
Right. Aerosis acts as a neutral vault. They validate that the tech works without the company having to expose its secrets. And this setup enables a really fascinating concept called royalty logic.
This caught my eye. Digital royalties. It sounds like something from the music industry.
It's a very similar concept. If a company's digital twin gets used in a government simulation, let's say the Pentagon is running a massive war game on a server, The company gets paid a microtransaction.
Even if the government hasn't bought the physical hardware yet.
Even then, it totally changes the incentive structure. You want your digital twin to be accurate so it gets used. If it's trash, nobody loads it into the sim, and you don't get paid.
It aligns the profit motive with the truth motive. I like that.
Exactly.
Okay, so Project Pathfinder proved the infrastructure works. You can capture the data. Now, the report walks through 3 permutations, real-world examples, and these aren't hypotheticals. These actually happen. Let's hit the first one. Project Apex Thunder.
This was a kinetic lethality test. The operational gap was in the Pacific. Soldiers need to hit targets they can't see in environments where their radios are being jammed.
So they took the Viper 300, which is an Israeli loitering munition, a suicide drone, basically, and threw it into the ring.
They flew it against something called Project Spectral Sentry, an active jamming suite. They didn't just want to know, does it work? They wanted to know the exact signal-to-noise ratio where the data link fails.
At what millisecond does the drone go blind?
That's the level of detail. And they compared it against a U.S. competitor, the Hellhound UAS, a straight-up fly-off.
Okay, example 2 pivots to something totally different. Infrastructure. Project Iron Hive.
This tackles the Iron Mountain problem. In a Pacific conflict, you can't ship concrete fast enough. It's too heavy, too slow.
So if you need a bunker, you need it now.
Exactly. So they tested XHAB 3D, a giant 3D printer that uses local dirt and aggregate to print structures.
And the validation method was print, shoot, digitize.
Literally, they printed a structure out of dirt, then they shot it with a kinetic drone to prove it could take a hit. They captured the blast resilience data to build a model.
So the digital twin here isn't a drone, it's a bunker.
Correct. And that model helps commanders plan. I have this much dirt, this much time, I can build X amount of protection.
It's amazing. Third example, Project Starforge. This is about logistics.
The contested logistics. If a plane breaks down in the Philippines, you can't wait 2 weeks for a part from Ohio. The supply chain is cut.
So they tested printing the part right there in the tactical edge.
Sending the golden file, the master blueprint, securely across the ocean. The test was for digital materiality. Is the part printed in a humid jungle as strong as the one from a sterilized factory?
And they did this under simulated cyber attacks.
To make sure the file couldn't be corrupted mid-transit.
3 totally different problems, blowing things up, building bunkers, fixing planes. But the underlying process, digitize and discover, was identical.
And that scalability is what creates the digital kill web.
Pause on that. We usually hear kill chain. What's the difference?
A chain is linear. If one link breaks, the radio goes down, the whole mission fails. A web is resilient. Data from the Iron Hive bunker test might inform the logistics model for Starforge. The wind data from Apex Thunder improves the simulation for everyone else. It's a network effect. The more tests you run, the smarter the entire system gets.
The report actually extends this web into some unexpected places, like medical tech. They mentioned Project Swift Beam.
This is to address diagnostic ambiguity. A soldier is hurt. Is it a sprain or a fracture? If you don't know, you have to evacuate them, which wastes a helicopter and pulls a soldier from the fight.
So they tested what, a portable scanner?
Exactly. NewTom, a portable CT scanner, and Xtrodes, which are wireless biosensors. The goal is a medical logistics digital twin.
So instead of calling for med supplies,
You send the scan data, and the system predicts you need 3 chest tubes and 2 pints of O-negative blood before the helicopter even lands.
that's a huge leap in efficiency. There's also a training application mentioned, Project Pathfinder ADS.
For the National Capital Region, this is about replacing laser tag, essentially. Current training uses Miles gear lasers and beepers.
Which teaches bad habits.
Because lasers fly straight, and bullets don't. They are moving to objective readiness verification, using digital ballistics models to confirm if a shot actually would have hit, based on physics, wind, and drop, not just because a sensor beeped.
So, okay, we have the tech, we have the data capturing, we have the applications, but we still have the transition problem. That classic startup death trap.
Where small companies run out of cash after a successful test, waiting for the big government contract to come through.
And this is where the report suggests the Hudson model.
Named after Cliff Hudson, who runs ETV now.
Right.
But back in 2003, he used the Mentor-Protege program to solve the IED crisis in Iraq. He fielded over 400 robotic prototypes in 2 years.
402 years.
Right.
That's a speed the Pentagon usually can't even dream of.
He did it by pairing small, agile innovators with massive, stable defense contractors who already had the manufacturing and contracting vehicles in place.
And the report wants to replicate this.
Through a direct-to-OSW track, OSW is the Office of the Secretary of War. It's basically a policy hack. It bypasses the standard 90-day administrative queue.
So if a program office sponsors a D&D event and the tech performs,
Validated by the digital twin.
they can trigger a mentor-protege agreement almost immediately.
And the American Defense Alliance helps facilitate the paperwork. So the Valley of Death becomes a bridge of data. You enter the test, you prove your tech works with real physics, you get a digital twin, and that unlocks the funding to keep you alive.
It's a move from buying promises in PowerPoint to buying validated engineering data.
That's the vision.
And the cost to kickstart this revolution. The report ends with a strategic ask. And honestly, when I saw the number, I thought it was a typo.
It's almost a rounding error in defense spending. They're asking for $100,000.
$100,000 to fix defense acquisition. That wouldn't even buy the coffee for a Pentagon meeting.
It's specifically to seed the aligner phase for those 4 Origin projects. So $25,000 each. It's low cost, high leverage. They want to get these projects shovel ready so they can compete for that massive JAR pot we talked about at the start.
It's a smart play. Ask for a little bit of money to prove you can unlock the big money. It brings us to a fundamental shift in how we view value in this space. We're moving to a world where a weapon isn't just the hardware anymore.
No. The weapon is the hardware plus the validated data that proves it works.
If you can't digitize it, you can't buy it.
And if you can't buy it, you certainly can't fight with it. The days of trusting the brochure are over.
That's the takeaway, really. Ground truth isn't just a buzzword. It's the new currency of relevance. And for you listening, whether you're in defense, tech, or logistics, it's worth asking. Are you operating on marketing cartoons, or do you have the data to back up your reality?
It's the difference between guessing and knowing. And when lives are on the line, guessing just isn't an option.
Thanks for the deep dive. We'll see you on the next one.